Hey party people, what is up? Evan from Stock Music Musician, and today I've got the first look and my reaction to the new Mimic creative sampler that's going to be included with Reason 12. Now, Reason just released a demo video of this. I would totally recommend you go check it out on their channel. I have not been able to get access to this yet. If you are on Reason Plus, theoretically, you now have access to it. It hasn't filtered over onto my account yet, so I'm just doing this based on my reaction to the video and to this image, and I just want to share a few of my thoughts on this. If you want to make sure that you get all the latest and greatest Reason news, though, be sure to subscribe to this channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also please let me know what you think about Mimic now that it's been released. What do you think it could do better? What do you like about it? All of that jazz. Let's watch that intro. Okay, we're back. So here is the overview of Mimic. And let me tell you, it checked all of the boxes that I wanted it to check. It is capable of manipulating pitch independent of time. It is also capable of not doing that. It is capable of slicing samples up on the fly and reslicing them with various sensitivities. It has a lot of cool lo-fi effects on it that you can use to create old school samples. It basically, I really think, and like, if you've been watching this channel, you know I am definitely not drinking the Kool-Aid on Reason, but I think this is going to probably be one of my go-to samplers because it does everything. I have some samplers that slice well. I have some samplers that do pitch well. This looks like it's going to do it all well. And it's going to have a ability to add some tone and vibe to samples, which I think is really cool. So let's just take a look at Mimic real quick, and I'll walk you through some of the main features of it. So here you have the 4 modes. Pitch, where you can drop a sample in and basically assign it to various pitches. Now, what makes this really cool is it has multiple modes to it. So you can do it in the traditional sort of tape-based sampling where speeding something up is how you increase pitch, and slowing it down is how it lowers the pitch. And that's sort of the way it does it with the NNXT and the NN19. But you also have multiple different modes here in the stretch section, from granular to a vocal-based algorithm, a melody-based algorithm, and a whole lot more. So you can dial in the exact right method of pitching things up and down. You also notice you have independent control of the speed of the samples and its pitch, which I think is super cool. Based on what I've seen so far, the only downside to this is that it does not automatically detect the key of the sample. So you're going to have to manually put that in, which can be, it's certainly a nice modern feature that some samplers have. And certainly something that is, I think, a bit of a miss, but this is just my first reaction. Also, it doesn't have an automatic, as far as I can tell, snap to grid. Maybe it does, but that is something I've seen in other samplers that can be helpful for getting everything really kind of syncing and vibing. But overall, from what I saw, the pitch-based mode looked great. The slice-based mode is also super powerful. You can adjust the slices on the fly. You can adjust the sensitivity of the slices. Again, you've got the various stretch, playback, and pitching modes. It's all really cool. You can also use this as a multi-shot sampler, kind of like Kong with the multi-shot mode, and you can load in 8 different samples, or 8 of the same sample, just triggering in different times. And each one of these 8 samples can be completely independently controlled by all of these other parameters: filter envelope, amp envelope, and a filter like you would expect, although there's some cool new filter modes here. But also, and we'll get to this effects section in a minute, but it's just really cool. And then multi-pitch lets you layer various samples together for really cool sounds, although I haven't heard that yet. It also looks, based on this icon here, which tends to indicate that it's a built-in sampler in Reason, so you can actually sample into it and then probably start cutting it up from there. So overall, it looks really nice. Totally stoked about this. This is exactly what I wanted in this sampler. Really excited to start playing with it once it shows up in my Reason Plus. there's a few other things I do want to talk about, and I think it's really smart what they've done. They've added a bunch of like hotkeys to make this really on the fly, and if you tab it over, it looks like the main clicks and hotkeys and stuff are actually listed in text on the back, which is super cool. You notice you've also got the ability to set the start positions, which I think is really nice, and reverse individual samples. Portamento, mono, retrig, poly, which is really key for slice mode, poly or mono legato. It was sounding really cool when they were doing it. And this section here is really what I want to talk about. This is what I had speculated in my previous video on what I'd like to see in Mimic, which I said was basically kind of the ability to do old school samplers to model them. And instead, which I think is the right call for Reason, because I didn't think they're actually a modeling company. I think they're more of a creative tool company. They've gone with a built-in sort of a very vibey compressor. The ability to do various like bit crushing and low res effects, both to modulate it and to show how much of it's in, and then you choose the effects, and then sort of also very vibey low cut and high cut filters, which I'm assuming I probably have a pretty high resonance like you would have seen in those old school samplers, and the bump of the resonance of the low pass and the high pass is actually part of the sampling sound. No other onboard effects, which is fine because Reason has a ton of effects. I don't think like they really need to have all the effects on board. I think they needed the unique effects. I do kind of hope that I'm assuming these are probably algorithms that might be somewhere else, like in Scream, but I don't really know. I hope on the back there might be an ability to go through Mimic so that you can get these effects, or maybe they'll show up somewhere else. But all in all, I think, not having used this, but just based on the feature report, I think this is a home run. This was exactly what I was looking for from Mimic, from Reason Studios. So bully to you. Can't wait to try it out. But these are just my thoughts. I'd like to know what you think about Mimic and whether or not this sort of lives up to your hype, what you were expecting, and also kind of how you are hoping to use Mimic in the future. Also, I'm wondering if this will become your go-to sampler. For me, I think it probably will. Between the combination of being able to do everything in it and the smooth workflow, I think this will probably replace Serato for me, and maybe also the Logic sampler. Only time will tell. What I also dig about this, though, is it still creates a space for Dr. Rex for your loop playing, and it still creates a room for NNXT for like those complex multi-sample velocity-based patches, pianos and things like that. I don't really understand why the NN19 still exists. I mean, I guess it's just a lower CPU version of the NNXT and like a simpler one-shot sampler. But yeah, I'm stoked on this. I like the look of it. I think I've said this before. I think Reason has been doing a great job with their design language. And if you use any Reason devices, basically they all start becoming really clear. There's like a design language, and once you know how to use one of their devices really well, it quickly becomes possible to figure out how to use other of their devices really quickly, as opposed to certain other developers, which for valid reason, they'll model old-fashioned synths, but a filter might be called something different, or a mod might be called something different, or things are just going to be laid out in different ways. Whereas with Reason, everything is like, oh, that's the amp envelope, that's the filter envelope. And you can just quickly start seeing how things line up and how they work together. And I think this is another example of them doing that really well. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more great Reason news. And if you want to grab Reason Plus, I've got an affiliate link down below. Help support the channel. Try this out. Bye.